Testing. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I can't hear anything if you're talking, so.
Nothing.
Oh,
Nothing.
oh, there we go.
Can't.
There we go.
Hello.
I hear you now.
Awesome.
Cool. Do you do you mind if I put this on, or I
Let
can
me
keep it?
find something that's already been published.
Okay. Yeah, I could just have it on the other screen. And I could do mimic it on my side, but yeah, I didn't want to get you in trouble or anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I appreciate it. I was just in the middle of working on this, so it's kind of like appropriate. But let me find something that I used to do. All right. Or at least something that looks okay.
Yeah, Subnatural. I definitely don't know everything. I definitely want to learn better ways to do things. So, and I know is or my bad, VGFX.
GFX.
He's a real pro, so he knows what he's talking about.
Please. Okay. All right. So let's look at, for example. All right. I'm gonna go live here with Photoshop.
All right. Is it cool if I?
Yeah. This has been published, so you can
Okay.
show this. That's fine.
All right.
So this is like a final it's like a final diffuse flat. And what I was talking about would be like, we'll merge that. Then we'll desaturate it. And this could be a simulation of like a final deliverable. I may even go in here and play with the levels. Crunch it a bit, like try to get like real obvious blacks, because as when you use a gradient map, like um, the more steps you have in the gradient map and the more steps you have in value in your grayscale, the more variation you're going to see and the more variation you'd be able to control. So like say for example you delivered it looking like this and you had a gradient map tinting system of some kind. The gradient map allows you to replace from black to white different colors and different steps. So currently right now the ramp is just black to white. But say we wanted to make this like the toxic one or something. We can go in and begin choosing our colors from the shadow color all the way to the highlight color. So if I'm going to do like a purpley, like purple to green toxic skin or something, I start with my purple shadowy black color. I could step up one more, make it more saturated and a step up in value. Then maybe find a mid-tone for it to begin transitioning.
Ooh. And you're not. That's just a normal blending. That's not even. So I guess the one I was using as an example wasn't contrasty enough to really notice it or something.
Well, you were using a gradient, so you were using a gradient fill when we were miscommunicating, and then
Oh.
when you used your gradient map, you were adding colors, but you sort of have to keep the value in mind as you're changing colors, because as you notice, I'm moving towards the right. I'm also lightening the colors that I'm choosing.
Hmm. I see. It's all about the process. And if you gotta like this, that's what I love learning is like learning processes to do things.
Yeah, that's starting to look more like something, right? But it took me a while to find that color, right?
Yeah.
But like now that I've stepped it around, I kind of have something cool going on here where I have like this reddish purple in the shadows and it's starting to get green. Right. So maybe do something like that. Like that's pretty basic, but you can start getting into like even more of like a blue highlight or something. And depending on, of course, the levels and how you author it, if you have like this sort of in mind as you're going to like color it, you can get a lot of color out of the shadows and stuff by manually picking the ramp. Um, that way, like, it's not just like you're dipping something in like a certain value of red or green or something. Like now it's green, but you're getting like some reflected light in the shadows, perhaps, or you're getting some complementary colors to contrast in like your shadow areas versus like your highlight color.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man. If we could get that going in engine, that would be fucking insane. I'll have to.
It's really not. I don't think it's that complicated for your guy. I'm sure it may actually already be in Unity. Like we were doing this in like that pirate game, Pirate 101, that both um I worked on. I guess. Well, I'm not sure if Jason worked on it or not, but he was definitely at the company after I left there. But we did something similar to this for how we colored all of those assets.
And then so, but that was you authored them like that in Photoshop and then put them into engine in color, right? You did, or did you say you did do it in engine? This
We
was
did it in Engine, so
okay. It was
the
just
deliverable looked like this,
gotcha.
but it also had masks. So we would deliver something that also be like a mask. This isn't an exact one-to-one. This is a different project, but it's a similar idea in that the masks would determine which color zone was which. Um, so based on your color channels, that would determine um,
What gets changed?
what gets changed with which switch. So you could be like, okay, all the leathers are this mask, and all the metals are this mask. That way, you could have a few surfaces changing color per suit of armor.
That's insane. Yeah, man, that would be dope. Because like combining stuff like that into one map would help a lot too. If we could like mask out stuff, um, how do you create a mask like that? Like if you had like a suit of armor, like it was metal, well, like plate, and then it had like leather straps, and you just painted it as one map. How do you create that mask to separate those two like that?
Lasso tool.
Well, you have to, yeah, but you like go into the channels and just color it in.
Oh. So I were using say I were making a mask like a mask texture that is going to utilize the RGB channels as masks. I would author
Oh, it would be in grayscale though, right? And then
everything would be in black and white.
gotcha.
So like for example, the red channel here um, is authored black and white, and then when I copy it, I go to the final image, go to the channels,
I see.
go to
Oh,
red, and then paste it. And then when it compiles, since I pasted a white, like a grayscale value, a white value, it just translates to red
Oh
on the
man.
final image. So what the computer, what the material is actually reading is that image, that black and white image, but it's compiled into one targa that has 3 channels. So
Dang.
for one image, you get 3 maps, like 3 masks.
Yeah, man, that's like the advanced like um texture layering stuff that like I I don't know inherently yet. I know it exists and I've done it before through like baking, but yeah, like creating it like that, that's really smart. So then when you're in Engine, how does it mask it out? Like how do you select which layer when you're do you is there you just because you don't just like select the tint color or something, right? There's probably more into that. Or
Well,
is that a script thing?
this gets into how you built the shader for sure,
Hmm.
and how the material system in your particular engine works. So, like the images that you're looking at here are authored for Unreal, but the masks were very similar for Gamebryo when we were working on Pirate. And I imagine it would be very similar for whatever system Unity uses, but without having it right in front of me, I don't know if I'd be able to like just set it up. But I do have Unreal here, so I can show a little peek into Unreal. So for example, I can't really show what I'm working on because it's not quite there yet. But
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in the system here in the material, so like this is the material node network for each material network. If I go in, we were talking about channels. So this is a parameter. It's a 2D image parameter, and it comes in when I import it because of the type of target I saved with um, red channel, green channel, blue channel, alpha, and then composite, which is the image itself as a whole. And this is not going to be out of the box exactly the same as Unity, for sure, but it has a similar process that somewhere inside of Unity, when you import a Targa texture, you will be able to see somewhere those channels at like in a roll down or drop down menu or something, and you'll have access to those black and white images.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to play around with that because we've been using PNGs. So I don't know if when you import a
PNGs, I think they have the same amount of channels.
I will, yeah. So I don't know if it's in the texture setting because we're not real at least on the art side we're not like we're not doing node stuff with textures. We're basically just putting in the grayscale and then it gets loaded on a material like it's programmatically loaded into the a material and then we just tint that. So I don't know at what point or where there is control over selecting the RGB channels like that. So I wasn't sure if it was. I guess it wouldn't make sense. Let me see if I can find anything. Clothing. Let's do plate armor.
Yeah, like if you could find, I'm watching your stream now. Like if you could find like a diffuse texture or something and see if it comes, because it has an opacity, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
already opaque. So
yeah, yeah. So right
there you
here.
go, RGB color.
Yeah. So yeah. But then I guess the question is like, how do you? Well, I guess how do we? Um, when we're tinting stuff. I guess that'd be an Ollie thing to solve. He's a magician. But yeah.
Right, right. So like you would author that cape, right? And then there would be like that would be like the cape underscore D for for the diffuse,
Hmm.
and then there would be a cape underscore M, and that would have your RG. It would be the RGB values, and it would be whatever you want to allow people to tint on that cape. So, probably the cloth as one channel, and then the other channel maybe the little buttons on top. And this cape has two tint options.
So you'd have to have two then? Like you'd still have a grayscale and then you'd have the tintable.
Yeah, so you would have two textures. You would have the diffuse texture that looks like you're painting, and then you would have another texture that looks like your RGB composite. And then all that would do would be the masking image that the material uses to know where the regions are.
Okay. I think I get what you mean. Yeah, so that's like it's like exactly in Photoshop where you had the base and then you had that's basically the gradient that it changes the color. And then it's
Right.
just
So
overlaid.
it's actually just it's not even overlaid. You could probably multiply or overlay the gradient map if you wanted to get that effect. Um, but or you could just do a straight gradient map overlay.
Well, then so do you need what's the purpose of the grayscale base at that point then if it's already just taking whatever is the RGB version and tinting and stuff? Because doesn't it
Well, the grayscale is what the gradient map uses to find the black to white values to replace with color.
Okay, so then this is literally just a mask. It doesn't even care about the detail in this,
Uh,
like the RGB version
so
of it. Like,
y-
um,
well, the RGB would be the grayscale image, and then the mask with these that are broken out into regions would be a separate composite of masks. So you would have your texture that you authored that looks grayscale,
mhm.
and then you would also have the regions texture, and then when you plug those in, you use a gradient map that is tinting your grayscale texture in areas that have been determined by that mask you set up, and then you can go in and choose through a gradient map the colors that are replaced on the grayscale image.
Okay.
So you're
Uh,
basically telling the system, I want these amount of regions, and they're split up this way, and we're going to be tinting this grayscale texture with a gradient map.
okay. Um, so I guess I think I understand. I'm just to be clear, I guess. So this would be the grayscale version, and then you'd have the separate region one with RGB. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so the right here we have like wrinkle detail and stuff. Like none of that matters for the mask version, right? It's literally just the region. So it could just be a solid red, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So the all the value comes from the the grayscale.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, man, that would be awesome if we could do that. I think that would.
Yeah, that way, like looking at that image that you're using right there as an example, you know, you could do the red region as the whole robe, and then you could do like the blue channel as that trim, and then you would be able to tint both those regions on that one piece separately.
And you can do like, I imagine you could do like you could feather the edges, right? And you would get like a cool transition, right? With the mask.
You would definitely get an interesting transition because the channels get compressed a little harder individually than a full image.
Okay.
So you could. It's possible that if you gradated them into each other, you would get. I mean, you could probably get an interesting result, but it may not be predictable.
Okay. Better to just keep it in hard edge. I
I
guess.
guess it really depends. That would probably be like a test thing where like
Yeah.
it really depends on your compression, I think.
Yeah. I suppose though it would still be fine because if you cut it in the kind of the shadow or the edge of the trim or whatever, it would it's just changing a color change, and the shadow, is a smooth transition on its own. So maybe it would hide it fairly well. Maybe, I don't know.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. That's that's pretty cool. I'll have to. I'm sure that'll blow Goblin's mind.
Well, it's just thought, because I understand the desire to do like the really nice, like a really robust tinting system, but like dipping things solidly in color, like kind of kills all of the nice color variation and the shadow colors and all that stuff. And
Yeah. Well, yeah,
I think the
and
gradient map allows
uh,
you to keep a lot.
that was one thing I was worried about, in because like in order to get the variation, we have to like literally chop stuff up. Like this, I guess this is not the best example of one that's chopped up. Let me see if I can find the shirt. That was a pretty good example. Um so this is the shirt that I painted it, and then Goblin made it look better. So this is just the cloth version, and then we have the trim on its own layer like this. So these two, so this is just the texture by itself, right? And then it would get layered on top of this, so you'd have a shirt with trim. And I don't really like having them separate like that, because I feel like you get a lot better interaction between the two materials when they're on the same texture like that, with like AO, and it's just easier to
Mhm.
paint the transitions and stuff, I feel like. And so if that sounds like what you just showed me was a good way to kind of have our cake and eat it too. So that would be really cool if we can do that. But I guess you're limited to only 3 layers then, right? RGB. Unless you made
Uh,
a different mask.
yeah, or you could do multiple masks, though. You are starting. It's just 3 masks is a lot to begin with. Like that's a lot of options for color changing. So we could probably do most things with 3, I would guess.
Okay. Yeah, especially if it's a gradient. That's also
But you got to think, it's 3 materials tinting on like on a piece of like equipment. So you basically you have your primary color, your secondary color, and like your trim color. Any more color, like a fourth color on your, or a fourth material on your texture, could start getting into materials that maybe you don't even need to tint. So you could just author it as what it is and then tint the other regions. Um,
yeah.
so that's something we did on Warhammer a lot. Like we had set tint regions for the armor sets, but a lot of the designs had so much stuff going on that we could only tint so many things. So a lot of the armor textures wound up being like just fully painted, except for, you know, this trim was all gray and this fabric was all gray, because those were the things that we could tint, but then all the doodads and extra accoutrements, like those didn't get tinted.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess that's how that, because like RTSs and stuff, where your all your stuff has like that tint, or that trim of like whatever color you're s-
Your
you know
team color.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess that, yeah, that's interesting, because like, yeah, like I said, I haven't really worked in the game industry, so a lot of this stuff is still, I don't know how it works on the inside, but um that sounds like that's kind of how it was done. So
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it works. However, really, it's just how it works. However, your need is like whatever solves the need. So I would guess that, like, yeah, for like an RTS, like a StarCraft style game, like there's a mask on all of the textures. That's like the stripe, right? That changes color depending on the team, and that's just driven through the material, and it just happens in real time based on the viewer. So like when
hmm
you're looking at the game, like your guys have like the green stripe on their armor because you're a green guy. And if you were to look at that in a neutral environment, it would probably just be like a gray stripe because it gets tinted at real time.
Yeah.
or if not at runtime, like right before compile, somewhere in there where they've set
Yeah.
all those
I think
parameters.
I think we're doing it uh before, like, it compiles stuff and then it's like baked in or whatever. I don't think it's like I mean, I don't know. I Ollie
It's probably
wouldn't.
not compositing in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably compositing during the load and then loading it as like a thing
Hmm.
until you clear your cache.
Yeah. But then it updates when you like equip something as well. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it.
Yeah, that would be yeah, I guess equipping a visible piece would just trigger a recompile
Hmm.
because it'd be changing a visible slot. It would do a quick recompile, and that would be the pop in and out where
Yeah,
you
that
change equipment.
that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. That, man, that's cool. Magic. It's all black magic to
It
me.
really is magic. It's all magic, but the magic is like duct tape. It's just like magical duct tape and gum.
Yeah. It feels like it sometimes when stuff doesn't work, right?
Oh man, I spent the last 14 hours trying to make these like leaf cards on this task that I'm working on at work, like the last task of the year before I do like the holidays and everything. Is this task like I'm making this character that has like all of this like leaf hair, and it sounds awesome until you actually have to like go in and try to like build up like a you know a successful looking hair leaf, like a head of leaf hair. It's like,
Yeah.
oh hey, I have this drawing, and then you start putting it together and it's just not working at all. So yeah, I just spent like the last 2 days trying to make that work, but
How
we're almost there.
yeah. Yeah, I think we're probably going to do something like that with our the wood elves in our game too. Um and that actually, while I have you here, that brings up an interesting question. When you get a concept, like what how much breakdown do you do with that before you like start jumping into stuff? Like, do you like study it and then break it down and draw over it and like try to understand the each part, or do you just like, oh, I'll just jump right into it and figure it out as I go? Is there like some sort of prep that you do? Because I feel like I sometimes jump into stuff and then I'm like, oh, how does this freaking work?
Yeah, I guess it depends on like how much like of that stuff is already like prepared for me at the beginning. Like the work that I do for like professionally has to fit on a pre-existing rig. So I'm already like basic. I'm already pretty. I have my limitations almost pretty clearly in front of me
Mm-hmm.
when I'm given something. So I know like okay, I have a certain like percentage that I can really fudge this, but it's got to work at least where the joints are.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we like to do, at least in my current studio, and I think this is a really good step, is we do like a rough mesh where we just block in the volumes. A lot of times, like the elbows and stuff aren't even there. It's just like a cylinder bicep shape, a forearm shape, just enough to like get the silhouette, get the weight correct. Um, Look at it, get it rigged to the anime and run it through the animations and see, a very like rough blocked in model. Is it working well with our animations? Is there penetration issues? Like, what do we need to change? These sorts of things.
So it's like basically like a kind of a quick block out sketchy kind of thing that you just like decimate and throw an engine, or do you throw it in an
Yeah,
engine?
sometimes you can decimate it. Sometimes you could just do like very simple shapes. It really depends on your process, right? Like
Yeah.
I do a lot of decimating because I like to like sculpt things from spheres. Like a lot of times I'll just go from primitives in ZBrush and just
Mm-hmm.
go for it. So, I'll Z remesh it and just like crank, like pull it down to like some really low poly count so that I can just get it in there, make it easy on the rigger. They just get it on the skeleton real simple and get it running around. Um, you know, just very, very simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried that with I mean, that makes sense to me. I like that. I tried, like I said, I tried it with the halfling and the wood elf character, and everyone was like, "Why is this so high poly?" It's like, no, you don't understand. It's a retest. I just want to see how it looks. No.
It's a test. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's cool. I'm glad. Yeah, at least I'm doing some things that make sense.
Yeah, like if you don't mind, you don't have to show. As long as you don't show this, it's fine. Okay. Am I still showing what I'm doing?
Let me see.
All right.
Oh man, 3ds Max.
Oh yeah. So this is kind of the state. Like this is about what I gave for my last task. Like this is the rough block in of the
Oh,
task.
that's the rough blocking. That's more
Yeah.
put together than I was thinking. More than I had.
Yeah, that's the rough. Like if you hear like the horns on this thing, like this isn't even like, these are all extracts and like this is kind of high poly. There's not even put together. Like there's a bunch of holes in it. It's very rough, but it gets
Well, that's
it gets the job done.
that's just the armor test, right? Because that mesh, the body is like the character as it is, right? Or did you
Uh,
put
s-
put together the character as well?
so I took an older skin and I repurposed it, and then I resculpted it, but I used what the other artist had used as their game model
Gotcha.
as the baseline for this one.
Okay, yeah, because you got some edge loops there, so I was like, oh man, you spent some time on
Yes.
that. But no, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then in the final one, like you can see how close I tried to keep it as close to that rough
Hmm.
as possible. Like a lot of the silhouettes are the same. All the rotations are the same. Like they all rotate at the same spot. Those were all respected from the rough. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nightmare Leaf Hair. We're getting there though.
That's cool, man. Oh, where did I go?
But yeah, anyway, just a thought about gradient maps and stuff and coloring grayscales. Just that's how I guess this all got started. But I
Yeah.
like what you got, man. I love what you're doing. Every time I tune in, you're making like a ghoul or a breastplate and an ogre. You had the ogre up the other day. It was rad.
Yeah, the ogre, he's in bad shape right now, but I wanted to test out some, the shoulder pads and stuff just for kicks and see how he's doing. But he's on an older rig. We need to get him cleaned up. I'm probably gonna probably want to clean up some geo and stuff or weight paints or something. He's in bad shape right now, but yeah, he's more or less there. He's more or less accessible right now, just simply for scale, just for the environment artists right now.
Just to make sure that your ogres get stuck in Soleil.
Yeah, just make sure they bonk their heads on all the door frames and stuff.
My friend and I were just commenting the other day about how like the only the only way EverQuest was really playable is if you double shrunk. Then the scale would be correct.
That's a good measurement right there. Yeah, I remember. I for whatever reason, like this one memory of some ogre standing in the doorway of the plane of knowledge bank and just blocking the way. No one could get past him, and he would just stand there and like ask for like platinum to before he'd move. It's like a, a bridge troll or something.
I think was that when I believe they added the growth spell, and if you grew the large races, they would actually block most doors. I think that was like I think that's a real memory. So I think that's real.
Well, I mean, my memory is of it just being a normal size ogre was enough to block that door. But yeah, I remember the grow spells
Oh,
too.
really? It
Yeah.
was a regular size ogre could just block that door.
I mean, it's a memory, so it's fallible. But
For
yeah,
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's fun times though. I don't know if we have collision like that or not yet, but I'm sure that's something we'll do.
Like collision, man. It's all about that in Warhammer and Dark Age of Camelot. All those PvP games, they love player collision.
Yeah. Yeah, but man, I really appreciate you taking your time to show me that stuff, because that would be rad. That was like because I was worried about my poor beetles, because I really liked the gradient I did with them, and if we were to like try and import them to the texture system, it would cause issues. I guess we'd lose some gradient there. So maybe that's something we'll be able to retain doing it that way. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, tinting's a tricky business because like design wants to be able to tint everything.
Yeah.
Art doesn't want people to tint anything. Like you gotta find some kind of happy medium, and a lot of these customization things can like really get like they can get out of hand. Like they could fractal out
Yeah.
of control.
Yeah, well, I think at least the tinting will be on the, you know, design side and not player side, at least. Other than like, crafting like some breastplate and then dropping in some dye into the forge before you hit combine or something. I don't think
Yeah,
people will have much control over the color of things. Um but yeah, I think it's a lot of it was because I've been pro like painting in color, um, but I think it's part of it, or a lot of it really is just trying to get more variety with not a lot of effort, and our team size kind of necessitates certain things, so it is a good way to get like variety of things. But yeah, there is like it's an interesting system that Goblin and Ollie put together. It's this like the dressing room I was showing you is really cool. Like I can put together, and I did, like I can show you over here. I was making some armor sets, and so this is like the same texture set pretty much. Um, and I just changed the color, and it's like a different thing. Um,
hmm
and I can just like in the database, this is what it is. It's just like the texture, the name of the texture with like the RGB values, and then you can just alter them, and it's a different thing, right? So it's pretty neat.
yeah,
But yeah, it would definitely be way cooler if we added gradient to that. So I'll definitely talk to them and see.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, the
Ollie's,
pretentious artist in me wants color. Like I want color in the
yeah,
shadows.
yeah,
Like I think that that's like a really lovely color of orange you have there. But like if you could get like like a tarnish, like patina, like a green in the shadows or something to like really pop,
right,
like that
yeah,
would that's something I think World of Warcraft did really well. Is that World of Warcraft they are very good about their like the vibrancy of the color in their shadows and stuff.
hmm,
Nothing goes to black. It always goes to like purples and blues and like,
exactly. That was
yeah.
my argument. Like that was my argument towards painting in color, is that like um because with grayscale and just adding tint over it, it's just a gray that gets, you know it doesn't really change color. Like there isn't a lot of it, like just it going to the shadow going to gray or black or whatever. It's like compared to like painting like shadow with like a dark blue or a purple, or a green. It's just way more interesting. It's like
hmm
way better. So I was like I was even like, I wonder if we could just paint the shadow in color and still have like, it mostly white or whatever for the rest of it or something. But and maybe that's something we could try as well. I think I tried it actually, but yeah, I did some tests as well. And at least we made some progress. At least I think either way, adding more like more um layers or levels, I guess, or just the contrast, pumping it up more will add a lot, even if we stick to grayscale. Because
Definitely.
a lot of what we had before, like we need to go through all the textures again and kind of do that pass, because everything is pretty washed out. It's very what's the word? The exposure is cranked up. And so I think we just need to bring some blacks back in more. So I think that'll add a lot. But if we can add the gradient on top of that, that'd be sick. And man, if that map stuff works and we can like paint stuff together and still like separate it with color, that's a freaking win in my book.
Yeah, it would be awesome if that gets some ideas going, and helps you out.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right on. Well, I didn't mean to derail your stream here. It was
No, it's
cool catching you live.
yeah, no, dude, it's all good. Like you're I don't want to bug you and your stuff, so it's cool when we can get together and I can pick your brain. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, anytime. Yeah, I hope to actually be able to make this bug. Like, I want to make this bug. Like, I still have this concept here. I'm like, I'm gonna make this thing. I just need to finish. Just gotta finish the work stuff first. And
Well,
I'm moving around the holidays.
oh yeah.
Always fun.
Which bug? Do you get a concept?
Oh, so there's so I haven't heard anything back from you guys or anything, but when we were talking, I really wanted to do. I just wanted to make that bug dude that I saw in.
Oh, right. The scorpion dude.
Yeah, the scorpion guy. So I really want to make him, and I kind of have started like noodling a little bit on him. I really want to make like a cool scorpion man. So
Did
hopefully
you?
the holidays will give me some free time.
Well, because it's funny you say that, because I felt like we haven't heard anything back from you. So if you're waiting, I didn't know you were waiting on anything. Did you want that concept? I could probably dig it up for you if you want it.
Oh well, I mean, I have it from the website, but I mean, you're more than welcome to shoot it over. I would love to see it, and I'll bang something out. I had thought the next chat we would have would be with like you guys and Ollie on the textures and the materials, but it sounds like y'all were able to sort that out on your own.
Yeah. Ollie's, man, he's a hard dude to get in the get in a room. You gotta fucking nail him to the floor. But yeah, I don't know if you had another conversation with Sean or not, or because I didn't know that's what you're waiting on. But if that is, like, I can let people know and we can try and put it together. Because
I mean,
from my point of view, I thought what you were gonna run off and see what you could do with that human, and then report back.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I looked through, I mean, I looked through it, and I've been playing with the scale and just kind of looking at your like how the UVs are laid out, and all the stuff in the file, and the maps you gave me. So I was going to use that as like a scale reference to make the bug guy.
oh, okay.
I know that you guys aren't like big on the normal maps or doing anything that steps it in that direction, so I didn't think I was going to, you know, I mean, I could do like I could do something like that and do like a high res one, but I already feel sort of from the conversations that we've had that that's just not really the direction that the game wants to go. So I figured I would just paint, a bug dude.
Well, like what I've been doing with this ghoul, for example, was I sculpted this dude out, right? And my
Hmm.
intention was to use that as to I want my intention is to make the low poly version and then bake normals out and actually use that normal map as my grayscale to then do
Nice,
the
yeah,
gradient over and stuff. So like if you
yeah.
even if you did do like a high poly, I think like I would like yeah, we're definitely not gonna, I don't think we're gonna be using normal maps and stuff like in engine at the in the final version, but I think that normal map is still useful in my opinion for that base.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, I definitely would. I'm definitely sculpting out the creature, and then I would bake it, and like you said, yeah, use the AO from the sculpture bake as like the starting point for my texture.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do, that makes sense to me. Like, I'm already doing that with this dude. This is more of like a proof of concept, to, because I did it with the beetle too, but like I've been hesitant to like really go very far with the high poly because um, it, I don't think some of the other folks on the team understand what like I'm doing with it. So they're like, "What are you doing? Why is it
Hmm.
so high poly?
Right.
Make it chunkier?" So it's just like I just wanted to do it once at least to my satisfaction, to show like, hey, this is what I was trying to do. And if it works out, and like, it would be freaking dope to like, I mean, I would freaking love to make that the kind of normal pipeline for stuff. Because that would mean more ZBrush time for me. um,
Yeah.
and we'd still end up with cool shit, low poly stuff. Because my understanding is that that's what World of Warcraft does, right? They sculpt stuff and then they use that as their base.
Yeah. So if you're looking at, if you want to look at my screen real quick, I would ask you not to share this with
Oh,
your audience, if you don't
okay,
mind.
yeah.
But so for example, this is an example of like how of like what I did for my like how I build like my own work. Like for any job I've ever been at, or every model I've ever been at, or any model I've ever done really in like the spec gloss workflow, I basically build it the same way. And it's like you said, this is my AO, and I just lay it on top of a gradient that I don't have baked here yet because this is like pretty new. But this is just my AO. Then I multiply a cavity,
Mm-hmm.
and then I screen a convexity to get the edges,
Yep.
and then I begin doing like what we were talking about with the gradient maps. First, I get my gradients. I start replacing my black to whites because I don't want any black and I don't want any white. White's going to be too hot because I still have to take into account specularity of the surface, so it can never be too high value, and it can never be black because I don't want it to be black.
Mm.
So I use a gradient map to replace those colors, and I build up each one of my selections. So if I select this mask, it's like this piece of the texture, which is also a material that's associated with this gradient map. And this allows me to build up not just put like replace black to white early, replace it with color, put color variation into it early. And while I'm building it up like this, I can color pick all of these colors and start to create kind of like harmonies already in my gradients. So like all my materials, like, this character that I'm working on now is like very blue. So even if he's got brown like leather, it's actually kind of purplish because everything kind of has a little bit of blue to it. And I'm starting to kind of create those harmonies through reusing the different colors of my gradients here early on before like I get too far along.
Right. Yeah, that's like the exact workflow that I would normally do. Like, for if I was just, you know, given the keys, or if I was working on something personal, like that was actually, I learned that from like a Mark Burnett um
Yeah,
tutorial, and so this is just how I've done it from then. I think it's a good way.
Mark, yeah, that's a Blizzard guy right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was gradients. Like, he got some cool gradient. Like, one cool thing that I like that from that tutorial specifically was he made some like sci-fi girl or something, and there was a cool gradient going up the legs, and I was trying to remember if that was something, if he had painted, or if it was a gradient map that he got to go up a certain direction. It must have been just the gradient map and the way that the sculpt um baked out or something, because it was nice. And that'd be something difficult to hand paint, I think, from the get-go. Or yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like a gradient. I would definitely do a gradient either on top or on the bottom. So like for example here, the next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this little fella into 3D Coat, and I'm gonna do a radial gradient inside 3D Coat,
Oh,
and I'm gonna
damn.
export that. That way I can use like a projection gradient. So I don't have to worry about like the orientation of my texture or any of these things. In 3D Code, I just go in there, I do a head to toe gradient, fill fill the layer, export that texture, and then bring it into Photoshop. And it's going to look all goofy, like it's going to have gradients going all over the place, but it's going to be accurate and it's going to have no seams. So I can then just overlay that gradient or place it somewhere in my mask here, and it will be like a seamless gradient that I can incorporate into the character.
Holy crap! I didn't know you could even do that. What's that called again? Is that
Oh, here, let me see if I can't just do it real quick and show you.
the radial gradient? You said.
Yeah, it's a radial. Well, yeah, it's you can do radial, you can do lines. I'll load up 3D Code and show you.
And then with the style that you're like once you get all those bakes and everything and all the gradient maps out there, do you also do like you paint over it just by hand as well to like touch up stuff or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, paint UV map mesh. All right, so I brought this fellow in. I'm going to flat shade it. And then we go over to the fill tool. We're going to set the fill tool to, oh, wait, no, gradient mode.
Oh snap.
Now that we're in gradient mode, we are going to use a spherical gradient. So it's a color gradient and it's a spherical gradient. The colors are going to be front and back, like in Photoshop. So I got my white and my black, and I can pick my 0.1 and my 0.2. So 0.1, the white is always, the way I think about it, is going to be the focal point of the character. So like the face, the center between the eyes, the top of the chest, that area. And the darkest parts, lowest value, farthest away from the viewer. So I'll just take this, take that white, this little white doodad, and I'll try to drag it right in the center of his eyeballs. And then I'll take the little black guy and I'll bring it down to like his feet, and then you just fill the layer. And this is all messed up because of all the, this is messed up on mine because I have overlapping UVs and stuff. So you can kind of see over here, there's like this tearing that's going on. That's because something in the UVs is a little messed up. But on yours, see, yours you're gonna have to flip because you're getting the black and the white backwards.
Oh. Isn't it the it's not like it's a very sharp gradient. It's like spherical color gradient. It's like the fall off is very short. It looks like I don't know if there's a.
Yeah. So what you'll do is you just pull the other one farther out. So like you keep your center where it is, and then you pull the other dot farther away, and that will increase the fall off of the gradient.
So the 0.2 like this.
Yeah. So take, if you want that white one, pull that like way away. or whichever one you want to create the gradient with. See, for this, your strong color is that white one that's on there.
Okay. Oh man. I doing I don't is this right? Just pulling the white away further like this.
That's weird. I don't know why it's getting clamped so bad like that, because I
Yeah,
usually don't get that effect.
that's very strange.
Um,
Maybe it's the character.
let's see if I open up another one.
And that's an interesting thing if I can. It's like a flashlight. Yeah, I apologize, chat. I've been neglecting you. Um, Soaking up knowledge over here.
Okay, so check it out on my screen over here. So um, this works on you see this model right here. This is kind of what I'm talking about here.
Yep.
So this is sort of the effect that it's supposed to have. But you can see some of these are they're like mirrored is what's happening when you mirror. Like it looks fine on the back here because the UVs are correct on the back, but because I duplicated them and flipped them, they're coloring funny on the front here.
Hmm.
So that would be some like anything that would that like that's a clear like mess up of the effect, but because of the way I have this spherical gradient set up and this the way the fall off is, I can then play with point two and then keep filling the layer and start and create like this nice gradient. And whenever I fill, it doesn't fill like 100%. So you have to fill it a couple times. So you can like fill it once and then like drag it out a bit more, fill it again and get a bit more of an effect.
Hmm.
So like I pretty much like this, but you point two to be higher. And then I do another effect and it's much blacker, right? That
Hmm.
second go.
You didn't change anything to get the fall off to be such a smooth thing, did you?
No, all I did was just drag this thing out.
That's
So I
weird.
started with white and then I put where the black. So the one thing I do have it is the point one and point two. I have it. I respect the initial layout, so I haven't changed that.
Let
Point
me.
one started as white and point two started as black, and
Okay.
it seems to be creating a very smooth black to white when I just kind of left it
Yeah,
as
I might have messed
the
something up.
default the default settings.
I'll try restarting and using a different thing or something. Let's try this robot.
And if you don't like the effect you get with the gradient or the spherical, you can always just do linear and it just goes straight up and down, straight up and down, head to toe on the character without any spherical fall off. So you get like an even top to bottom gradient.
Oh, it saved those points, it looked like. It's weird. Hmm.
You can hit the button, the pick point one, and then click on the surface that you want it to like select to.
It's very strange. Don't know why it's. It's all different pieces too, but yeah, it looks like it's still pretty sharp fall off there.
Well, look how nice it looks on the face.
Yeah, it does look really great
See,
though.
looks
I
really nice on the face, but then it's getting black because so you see where the light where the gradient ends, and that's why the whole body is turning black, is because by that point there's no more white. So I would pull that little black dot, that point two, pull that down below his feet and see if you get a better effect. Not too far, like just a little bit.
let's try pick two just down here. Oh, I have to click on him. Yeah, I don't know. That's very weird. Let me try linear. That's different. Linear works better for me.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know, maybe yeah, that's odd, but hey, there it goes. It's working.
I wonder if there's like a. I don't suppose there's like a size of the sphere or something. I don't know.
Um
Yeah, I don't know.
that would be that's a little deeper than I would know of the program. But it would be good to know.
Yeah, I'll play with it more. Maybe I'll figure something out. It's cool that because I didn't even know that existed in the first place. So even just knowing it exists is awesome.
I find it very useful for getting like a nice like head to toe gradient. For things like you were talking about, like that girl's legs. Like that way you don't just have to use like the gradient tool in Photoshop and hope like you know UV'd it nicely.
Yeah,
Because sometimes that it looks nicer than it turns out when you're actually working on it. And like just like a nice little gradient will work. You get like a weird seam or something. And then I get very particular about things like that, so I'll like overwork it to like get it out. Where I could have just used something like this, like a projection, and not even worried about it.
yeah, yeah. I hate seam. I hate visible seams. I like that's something I'm a stickler about, and I try to clean those up. So yeah, I'm just learning all these things. Uh, I also recently like because I've had 3D Coat for a while, but I haven't really. I've just used it as retopoing and painting, just straight painting stuff, pretty much. And it's only
Yeah,
fairly recently that I learned about the projection stuff, throwing it into Photoshop and like freezing areas so you like can mask stuff out and things. That dude looks awesome.
oh, thanks. Yeah, this was the last guy I did.
Is that same character that's on your profile with the like the lizard guy with the key guitar? It's just a different skin.
No, but the same concept artist kind of made it, and it kind of has like a little bit of a dinosaur face, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's my kind of dude.
Let's see. Probably should, what was that guy called? I think he launched.
But yeah, I'll have to mess with that more. I wonder if like it's something up with because those are the example characters. Maybe if I threw my own in there, it'd be better. Or I'll just reset some stuff. But yeah, I need to finish retopping this guy first, huh?
One thing at a time, man. Yeah, so this is him when it turned out. I think he launches this month. So he's technically out.
That's rad. When you so do you implement that the character as well with everything, like, or do you set up those
The
anim
material, all of that stuff, like all of that moving doodad and whatnot, animated glowing, wiggling, all of that crap. Like we author all of it.
Nice. That's cool. That was
It
that
is, but it's exhausting.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, like the yeah. But it's, I've learned a lot of stuff already working on the M&M project. The next thing I need to figure out is to do those animated materials. I don't um because we want to do that for the elementals, right? Um so that's I need to figure out how that
It's a
works.
lot of the same stuff that we were talking about with the masks. All of that is just a masked area, and then in that there's
Make
a
it
mask that
chunkier.
tells the engine that this is just a region where the custom effects that I put in are going. So like, let me see if I can't just open this up.
Well, setting up the actual animated material itself is what I need to figure out how to do in Unity
Hmm.
specifically. I think I feel like I've done it in. Oh man, that looks weird.
It looks super weird.
I guess it's just like a shader, and I just need to see. That's like, I guess, because the way we're doing the materials with just diffuse and stuff, and it's like programmatically added. Um, I'm I'm like, oh, for some stuff, are we not doing that? Because like, I don't know if we can programmatically add like fancier shaders like that or not. Like, I don't. That's part of the reason why I don't even know if we could do normal maps. I think Ollie said we could do it. He just needs to set it up. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
Unity can do it right out of the box. Like you could do all this stuff. Like it's just a matter of like getting the hookup and having either somebody who, so I don't understand, like I've never opened up Unity's material editor, so I couldn't speak to it as an expert, but I've used a lot of Unreal, and I can't imagine it being too different. And basically it's just a node network, in my emissive channel I'm creating a multiply. So that's gonna start blowing things out. That's gonna start blowing out colors. And basically, just using node parameters that I'm sure are equivalent in Unity, I just have some multiplying panners, panning cloud textures, and panning like lava textures that all are assigned to their own color. So they glow, they bloom out, and multiply on top of one another, and then just like that multiplicative stack is what gets the fiery glow in the emissive channel. And it's just like, hey, a panning cloud this way, a panning lava goo that's orange instead of yellow this way, and you get like a decent fake effect, like a decent like panning fire effect.
yeah,
And this looks like, I mean, this all these spaghetti. This is like very complicated. Like I've been working on this project for 4 years and I still don't even understand half of this stuff. But a lot of it is just like the node, like an add node to a multiply, and then like a pan. And I'm sure that there are equivalent to
yeah,
that in Unity.
yeah. I need to. I've messed around with with that stuff before, like to some degree. Um, yeah, I just don't know it. Like, I'll have to like watch a video or something to like figure out even where to like open up the shader um graph editor thing. But I bet I could. I know I can sort it out once I get there. But it's just a matter of you know setting it up. But yeah, the bit definitely going to do that stuff for the elementals, and we're going through our to-do list for, because we're trying to get the friends and family thing sorted out soon so we can have the public playtests like early next year.
Awesome.
And the element, like magician elementals and stuff, are on that. They're in like a placeholder thing. I kind of want to like revisit them, to be honest with you, because I love the floating torso from the original,
Yeah.
but I feel like that's what we have right now, but I feel like it's a little bit too on the nose. I don't know. I feel like we need to.
Yeah, it's a little yeah. No,
Yeah,
I feel you.
yeah. I
They're
really
so
love it,
cool
but
though. They were
yeah,
I would love, yeah. I could see like, you know, you doing kind of like a cooler like genie tail on them or something to make them a little more unique to your own game, but I love that the way they looked where they were just kind of like the buff chest and like big old arms.
yeah. Yeah. That's why we like. I was pushing for that because you know, I think I don't know. It's like a weird fine line of like getting something that is a nod to the original stuff, but also different enough that it's not just so on the nose and it's kind of our own thing. So I think the elemental is there's like a select group of NPCs that are very um powerfully nostalgic, like the skeleton and the elementals. So it's one of those things where we're not gonna get it the first time. Well, we kind of did with the skeleton, but I think the elementals need more work.
Well, I have confidence that you guys will bang it out because yeah, so stuff so far is pretty awesome.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Well, I just looked at the time. I want to let you get back to your ghoul. It's looking pretty awesome.
All right, man. I appreciate your time. I'll let you
Yeah,
go.
for sure.
Uh, but yeah, if you need anything from us or for me or whatever, like if you're waiting on anything, just shoot it in that group chat. Because I didn't know you were waiting on anything. But I'll try and get a meeting together with all of us, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I would love if you could shoot over the concept that we were talking about because I do have one, but there may be one you have that I'm not aware of, and that'd be awesome because then I could get kind of working on something. Hopefully, in the next couple weeks with the holidays, once that's all said and done, I would like to really be able to put some time into it. And the next time we chat, like have something to show you, be like, hey, what you think about bug
Yeah.
scorpion night?
Yeah, for sure. You probably there isn't anything else hidden about that. You probably have it. Because there is two versions, one with feet and one with like the pointy
Right,
feet.
that's right.
But both of those are they're posted publicly somewhere. But I'll post them again in that chat
Yeah.
later,
Okay, then
just
I
in
have
case.
that one because that's the one I got from the website. So that I definitely have that. We're talking
Okay.
about the same picture then.
Yeah. There's no other like one that is behind the scenes or anything. So you probably have it.
Okay. Cool. Then I will make the behind the scenes one.
Sounds good, man.
Right on. Well, hey man, it's good catching up with you. I hope you have a good evening, and if I don't talk to you, have a great holiday.
Yeah, you too.
Right
Hope you
on.
you have a safe and happy holiday and everything.
Same to you, man. Take it easy. I'll catch you later.
See ya.
Bye bye.